Bienvenue! You're here! Come in! I'm so glad it's Monday. I've been in the washroom since before the light changed, doing that thing I do on Monday mornings that probably sounds more dramatic than it is. I move things. Not far, just rearranged, reconsidered, set back down in a slightly different position. A jug to the left, a plant on the sill rather than the shelf. A small adjustment that makes the whole room feel as though it had a night's sleep and woke up refreshed. I find this very satisfying in a way I cannot fully defend, but I've stopped trying. This week I've been drawn to the desert. Not the empty, bleak kind, but the kind that turns out to be full once you look properly. Sandy terracotta, warm stone, a single succulent on the windowsill with perfect self-possession, doing exactly what it was made to do without anyone's help. Does that ever catch you? An object that simply knows what it is. Come through. The week is beginning and I want to start it gently with you. Here is the Monday invitation. Take it or leave it, or just do one small piece of it. Go to the room you spend the most time in this week and look for one thing to remove. Not throw away, just put somewhere else. A surface somewhere that has more than it needs, a chair with too many things on it, a windowsill with 4 objects where 2 would do. Clear it back. Whatever you take away, put it somewhere out of sight for the week. See how the room breathes differently. If that feels like too much on a Monday morning, the smaller version is this. Choose one surface, just one, and wipe it down. Straighten what's there, give it a little space around each object. That's enough. Monday doesn't require transformation, just a small returning to simplicity. I have to share this with you. I read it last night and immediately wrote it on a slip of paper, which is my test for a passage that has really landed. John Muir, the naturalist who spent decades walking through the American wilderness and writing about what he found. He wrote a book called Steep Trails in 1918, and there's a passage about desert plants that I keep coming back to. I wrote it on a slip of paper and then immediately read it to someone who happened to be in the kitchen. That is my test for a passage that has really landed. He writes, "The sun-drenched cactus seems to have gathered all the heat of the summer into itself, stored it, and is now giving it back. A warmth that has nothing to do with excess and everything to do with endurance." A warmth that has nothing to do with excess and everything to do with endurance. I put that on my kitchen windowsill by the terracotta pot, and I've been thinking about it all week in relation to the home. The house that endures quietly, the room that's warm without being full, the beauty that comes from having kept something rather than added to it. Come through to the ballroom. I've put on something warm and unhurried this morning. Acoustic guitar, the kind that sounds like light falling across a bare floor. Just the right thing for a Monday that wants to be slow. Take a few minutes, write something down if you need to. Let the week arrive at its own pace. What a gentle beginning. I'm almost reluctant to move forward, but there is more morning to get through, and it is a good one. The first time I went to France, I was already married, Gwen and Harvey, still quite small. I found a dish set in a shop window that stopped me entirely. It was classically styled, the kind of thing that belongs to a particular tradition of French domestic craft. Clean lines, a restrained palette, the sort of object that manages to look simultaneously old and completely correct. And painted on it, on the side of the bowl and around the rim of the plate, were cactuses. Not the stark, sun-hammered variety I knew from Arizona. Not the particular landscape of bleached rock and hard shadow I had grown up alongside without ever thinking to call it beautiful. These were soft. The colors were dusty rose and pale sage and the faded ochre of old paper, and the cactuses on those dishes were almost architectural, graceful, considered, held with care, as though someone had looked at the desert and found in it the same qualities they found in classical form. I stood in front of that window for longer than was probably reasonable. I'd grown up in Arizona. I knew the desert the way you know a thing you have never had to choose. It was simply there, surrounding and relentless, and I had always vaguely assumed not particularly beautiful. Not in the soft sense, not in the kind of beauty that belongs on a dish. But someone had seen it that way. Had looked at the same landscape, the same forms, the spines and the flat paddles and the stubborn green endurance of it, and found something worth rendering with care, worth making into something you'd want on your table every morning. I bought one of the bowls, I still have it, and I think about that shop window sometimes, the particular surprise of having something familiar made strange and lovely by a different pair of eyes. I'd lived inside that landscape for years and never once thought to put it on a dish. It took being somewhere else entirely to see what had been there all along. Come in here, I want to show you something. The linens this week are cream and warm ochre, not quite tan, not quite sand, but something in between that the light does interesting things with in the late afternoon. The windows open just enough to let the air move without making the curtains dramatic about it, and on the sill a terracotta pot with a small succulent, one of the rosette-forming ones, very symmetrical, very self-contained. I bought it because I needed something on that sill and nothing felt right until this. It cost almost nothing and I'm unreasonably pleased with it. That plant takes up very little space, asks for very little water, and is, I think, the most honest thing in the room. It's not performing. It is not optimized for anything. It simply exists in its pot and is, in a modest way, beautiful. I keep finding myself looking at it. I've been thinking about this in relation to the home more broadly. We live in an era that is very good at generating things to buy, things to display, things to keep in case they are needed, and homes accumulate, not from greed, just from the ordinary forward motion of life. A gift here, a find there, a thing that was useful once and lives now in a corner of the kitchen. Full confession, I have an entire drawer in this house that I've been meaning to address for several months and have not. The desert has shamed me gently this week. What the desert teaches, and this is what I keep coming back to, is that life in a spare place is still life, and sometimes more visibly so. A cactus on a white wall is more present than a crowded shelf. One beautiful object on a cleared surface does more work than 5 interesting ones competing for attention. The philosophy of the washroom on a Monday is not minimalism as a style, cold, deliberate, slightly punishing. It's editing, the same word we use for writing, which is always a question of what to take out rather than what to put in. Does that resonate with your home? I suspect it does. Most of us know exactly which surface in our house has too much on it. We walk past it every day. So this week, think about your home through that lens. Not what should I add, but what does this room not need? Terracotta is a wonderful place to start aesthetically. The warm rust orange of it is grounding in a way that reads as both contemporary and ancient. It belongs in a desert, yes, but it belongs equally on a European windowsill, a whitewashed kitchen, a dark wood shelf. If you have a plain corner that needs one object, a good terracotta pot, whether or not it has anything in it, will almost always solve it. Sandy linens, bare surfaces with 1 or 2 considered things, morning light on warm stone. That is the washroom this week. There was a letter this week from someone who writes, "My home has too much in it. I can feel it. I walk into a room and I feel a kind of low-grade weight, like being underwater. But when I try to declutter, I freeze. I don't know where to start, and every time I pick something up, I find a reason to keep it. How do you start simplifying a home when you've been adding to it for years?" I know that feeling, the room that has too many decisions in it. Here's what I think about the freezing. It happens because we try to make a final decision about each object. Keep forever or throw away. And that is too large a question for a Tuesday morning or a Sunday afternoon. The permanence of it stops us entirely. So here's a different question to ask. Not, should I keep this, but does this object earn its place in this room? Which is a smaller question. It doesn't mean you throw it away. It just means you decide whether it belongs here in this room in its current position. If it doesn't earn its place here, it might earn it somewhere else in the house, or it might want to go entirely, but that's a separate conversation. And here's the second thing. You don't have to do the whole home. The feeling of being underwater in a home usually has 1 or 2 rooms that are contributing most of it. Start there. Clear a surface in one room, not the whole room, one surface. Give it space. Let that small edit show you what it feels like. The home doesn't need to be empty to breathe. It just needs a little more space around each thing. The succulent is on the sill and it's lit up now. The morning came round and the sun is on it, and the symmetry of it is doing something very quiet and very lovely, the way small, self-possessed things sometimes do. I keep finding it with my eyes. That plant has earned its place entirely. I hope your Monday is a gentle one. Something cleared, something rearranged, a room with a little more air in it than last week. Your version of the terracotta pot, wherever it is. Come back tomorrow. I'll be in the dressing room. Until then, take good care of yourself.